Hey, what's happening, guys? Today we're going to talk a little bit about choosing multicolored LEDs for your projects. But before we get into that, today was supposed to be the second part in our Arduino Maker Vidor 4000. I was going to work on the HDMI output and do a little program. I thought this was a mini HDMI. There's a mini HDMI converter. No, that's a micro. So the correct converter for this will be delivered today, and then we'll have that as our next video. And as for the pronunciation, someone said it was Vidor. I thought it was Vidor. Well, I got it from the source. You can say it either way. Unbelievably, Massimo Bonsai, the creator of the Arduino, commented on my post and said you could have it either way. So how cool is that? So if you're new to the electronics game, yeah, working with LEDs is one of the first things that you're going to end up playing with because they're easy to use and they're fun. I've got lots of videos on LEDs. Check out my basic electricity and electronics playlist if you need some information. There are many types. Like there are single color LEDs, but what we're going to talk about are multicolored LEDs. And there are basically four types. There is what I would call the manual. There are slow flash, fast flash, and controllable ones. Like for instance, these ones here are WS2812Bs. They are addressable and controllable. These types, the fast flash and the slow flash, are not addressable, nor are they controllable. And we'll talk about that. So first, just a quick refresher on LEDs. This is your basic LED setup. You know, you have your polymer casing. You have two legs, the positive, the anode, the negative, the cathode. The cathode goes up to this piece right here that we call the anvil, and the anode goes up to this piece here that we call the post. Then you have your bond wire that comes over from the anode and into this little pan here, which is where your semiconductor material is. Different chemicals produce different lights. Now for the multicolor LEDs, they're separated. There's three different things in there. Now for the manual LED, it has four legs. It has a common, in this case, common cathode. They make them in common anode too. And then it has a leg for red, green, and blue. So whichever one of these you apply power to, that's the color you'll get. So I have one set up right here, and it has a 1K current limiting resistor on it. We're feeding it 5 volts. And if I hook up our positive to the leftmost pin, we get red. Next is our common, the cathode, and the next one over is green. And finally, we have blue. And yes, you can hook up more than one, but they don't mix very well. So that is the manual one. Okay, on to the automatics. Like I said, we have slow flash and fast flash. Now I'll hook up the slow flash first, and they all coming up red, and then they go green, and then they switch to blue. Now, if we leave these running for a while, they'll work themselves out of order. So you'll get a nice random sampling of colors. So if you want to build a project, and like Big Clive does a lot of these, where you have 20 or 30 of these all blinking at different rates and different colors, the slow flash is where you want to go. Now, in contrast to that, we have the fast flash LEDs. Now you can see, a huge difference in the rate at which they flash. These ones over here are rotating, you know, every second or so. And these ones, depending upon the color, are flopping multiple times a second. So how do these work, considering that they only have an anode and a cathode? Well, they simply have a little controller chip in there, basically an RC timing circuit that flips on the different LED elements in there at different times. Now, let's take a look at something interesting. If I hook this up to the scope here, and we can come up here and take a look. Oh, hold on, that light's on. There we go. Don't want to blind you guys. So this is the fast flash LED. And let's see, where horizontal rate is 1 second. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. So if we say measure, oops, and we can add a peak to peak. You can see our peak to peak on here is about 46 millivolts of change. So the different LEDs do take a little bit of a different voltage. Now, if I move this over to the slow flash, I'm going to unplug this just so that we don't get any coupling. And now what do you see? Almost nothing. Looking at, we're getting a 10 millivolts peak to peak. So there is a big difference in the voltage, which is going to create a difference in the current, of course. So you always want to make sure that you use proper current limiting resistors with these. Now I'm actually kind of under current protecting. These are 220 ohm on 5 volts. They should probably be a minimum of 330 ohms, but my general rule of thumb is to use a 1K resistor. Let's take a look at that here. We'll pop out one of these and we'll disconnect that. Well, actually, we'll leave one of them running. How's that? And we'll bring another one over here. Bring up this 1K resistor and we'll hook it up. Wires. There we go. Do you really see much of a difference here? Let me reset the timing here so you're seeing the same colors at the same time and directly into the camera. There's really not that much of a difference, but by running them at a lower current, you're definitely going to make them run cooler and increase their life. Now, I would be remiss if we didn't probe the current, because if I didn't do it, I guarantee somebody would say, why didn't you show what the current was? So yes, we will do that right now. Yeah. Hook everything up properly, right? So here is the 220 ohm, and you can see we're getting, let's call it around 8.5 milliamps of current on that. And then if we go with the 1K resistor, we're clear down to, let's call it 2.5, because you know it jumps around a bit. So almost 3 times the current. And that's, you know, it's not going to equate exactly to 3 times less life, but the one with the more resistance, the lower current, is going to last longer. So that's really all there is to choosing them. Do you want them to run fast? Do you want them to run slow? Or do you want to control it yourself? Either way, LEDs are fun. You can do a lot with them. And you can even use them as blocking diodes, voltage dividers. After all, they're just diodes, right? Alright. I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Feel free to comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe. Big thanks to all my patrons, and a big thanks to you guys that bought shirts. That is so cool. I didn't think anybody would buy them. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you haven't bought a shirt, check it out in the video link down below. Hey, I have no control over the price. Just for full disclosure, I make $10 a shirt. So that's awesome. You're really helping support the channel. That's it. I'm out. Peace.